Welcome to Brooklyn. New York City's most populated borough has some amazing treasures, and today I'm taking you on a walking tour to see the areas of Brooklyn Heights and DUMBO. So lace up your walking shoes because there is so much to explore. Brooklyn is such a fascinating place. The borough is easily connected to Manhattan by transit, but gives the vibes of a whole different city. It's hard to take your eyes off the view of Manhattan, and I understand why. The views are amazing, but for this tour, our eyes are focused on this side of the East River and the character of these distinctly Brooklyn neighborhoods. I'm walking from the end of the Brooklyn Bridge through the stunning brownstone streets of Brooklyn Heights to the trendy DUMBO neighborhood. Hey there, I'm Michael, and I'm following the path inspired by authors Jessie, Kanelos, Weiner, and Jacob Lehman as illustrated in their book, New York in Stride, an Insider's Walking Guide. I am starting the journey by walking over the Brooklyn Bridge from Manhattan to downtown Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Bridge is emblematic of New York City itself. The bridge was initially constructed in the early 1880s and was an engineering marvel for the time. The bridge stretches from City Hall in Manhattan across the East River to the core of downtown Brooklyn. The crowds on the bridge tend to be heaviest on the Manhattan side, with crowds thinning the closer you get to the Brooklyn side. The angles and lines of the bridge supports are so interesting, which makes this structure so iconic. If you don't want to walk across the bridge, you can start the tour from any of the subway stations near Borough Hall in Brooklyn. Arriving on the Brooklyn side, the pathway leads towards Brooklyn's Borough Hall. The building is designed in the Greek Revival style and was completed in 1848 to serve as the seat of government for the independent city of Brooklyn. After the city's unification, the building's use continues for civic purposes, standing as a great architectural gem of Brooklyn. The building was designated a New York City landmark in 1966, and its cupola was restored in the 1980s after being damaged by fire. Let's do a little walk around Brooklyn Heights, shall we? There are several other attractions near the hub of Brooklyn.
If you have time, definitely check out the MTA Transit Museum. It's really good, and it's right in downtown Brooklyn.
Turning the corner, we're heading into the heart of Brooklyn Heights. On the left is the Brooklyn Historical Society building. Founded in 1863, the Brooklyn Historical Society houses an extensive collection of historical maps, photographs, manuscripts, and artifacts related to the history of Brooklyn. Passing through the center of the Brooklyn Heights Historic District, we make our way to one of the best skyline viewing spots in the borough, the Brooklyn Heights Promenade. The main attraction here is the view of the lower Manhattan skyline across the East River. These unobstructed views are captivating, and I could literally sit here all day watching the city in action. From helicopters at the Wall Street heliport to the ferries zipping up and down the East River, it's simply an amazing sight to behold. The promenade sits on top of the cantilevered Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, one of Robert Moses's great ideas back in the 1950s. The BQE is stacked on levels below the park. This removes the sound and the sights of the highway from the view of the residents of the neighborhood and visitors to the park. We'll walk back into the neighborhood to an area known as the Fruit Streets, which are aptly named Pineapple, Cranberry, and Orange Streets. The 19th century brownstones in this neighborhood have so much charm and character. No wonder this is one of the most desirable neighborhoods in the city. This really feels like a real neighborhood that real people live in, with cute restaurants and grocery stores. These streets were named by Lady Medow, a prominent figure in the 19th century Brooklyn Heights community who preferred whimsical names over the traditional numbered streets. Back along the end of the promenade is the entrance to Squibb Park and the Squibb Park Bridge. I've seen this in so many Instagram posts, and there's good reason for that. The lines align perfectly to capture the One World Trade Center tower framed by the Brooklyn Heights buildings. The bridge crosses over Furman Street, leading us to our next stop at the water's edge on Pier 1 and the Brooklyn Bridge Park Greenway. We're in a relatively new park, which was converted from industrial land for public use along the river. This spot for a long time has been one of my favorite places in the city. Give the video a like if you agree that this is such a breathtaking vista. Boats pass along the river in front of the long row of benches. I like to grab an ice cream from one of the shops close by and just watch the city go by. There's several open grassy areas to bring a blanket and lay down to read or picnic. The view is the same from up on the promenade, but down here by the water is just really special. Walking towards the bridge, we see the Fulton Ferry Fireboat House, a distinctive, intimate chamber violin music venue called the Barge Music, and the end of Old Fulton Street, which has landmarks like Grimaldi's Pizza under the bridge and the Brooklyn Ice Cream Factory. You can also catch the NYC East River Ferry from here, which has service over to Wall Street in Manhattan and up the East River to Williamsburg and Queens. Walk under the bridge to the north side to this grassy spot, which gives that famous image of the Brooklyn Bridge with the World Trade Center and the downtown skyline as the backdrop. Jane's Carousel is a restored amusement ride built originally in 1922. There are 48 carved wooden horses that rotate under this glass-enclosed structure. Tickets are relatively affordable considering the location and the amazing view of the two bridges. The other bridge being the Manhattan Bridge. We'll get over there in a minute. But first, we'll walk by the St. Anne's Warehouse, which today is a performing arts venue in a historic brick tobacco warehouse along the waterfront. The building features a dramatic, flexible performing arts space and has been praised for its architectural design, which blends historic elements with modern amenities. If you think this walk is great, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my other videos. Next door is the Time Out Market NYC, which is a food hall that brings the taste of the city together under one roof. It's built into a historic brick facade and has a surprising free treat up on the roof. Climb the stairs and you'll arrive at a free rooftop deck with views of the Manhattan Bridge and East River. Grab a bagel from Essa Bagel or other NYC-inspired foods to get refueled before continuing our walk. A few short blocks away, you'll see crowds of people taking pictures on the cobblestone streets at the intersection of Washington and Water Streets. What's the significance? Well, one thing is the bridge tower on the Brooklyn side of the Manhattan Bridge. The other thing is that if you look closely, you can see the Empire State Building through the bottom of the arch. We're now officially in DUMBO, which stands for Down Under Manhattan Bridge Overpass. Under this archway at the end of the bridge is a space that hosts a weekly flea market. The space used to be a transit authority property, which is now converted into a versatile space that frequently has something going on, like yoga classes, markets, and music. Getting farther from the bridge, the streets are quieter. DUMBO generally is a hot neighborhood with many high-priced homes taking space in previous industrial buildings. There are still some peaceful areas near Vinegar Hill and the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Through these gates, you can see the old Commandant's house, which for years was home to the Commandant of the Navy Yard until 1964. The Navy Yard has a long history dating back to the American Revolutionary War. While the heyday of the Navy Yard is long over, the neighborhood as a whole is as vibrant as ever. Have you ever been to this part of Brooklyn? Let me know your recommendations down below for anything that I missed. Thanks for watching and happy exploring.